What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Garage Talk Sports. It's been a while, to say the least, since the last time we recorded. I went back and looked. April of 2023, last time we recorded and posted an episode, so over a year. We took a bit of a hiatus. Had a lot going on. Bobby, I want to congratulate you, finishing up your degree.
Thank you.
Proud of you.
And Nick getting a new home.
Nick becoming a new homeowner.
Andrew becoming a master.
Yeah, I got my
here.
master's degree. So a lot of good things kind of pulled us away. So it sucked to have to step away from it, but it was all for good reasons. That being said, we're back. We're in a position where we have the time. We're able to do this again. So we're excited to be back here in the garage. Shout out to the Miller parents for keeping it like this for us. But we are back. We're recording. And we're bringing new episodes to you guys. So we'll call it Garage Talk Sports Season 2, I guess is how we'll do it.
Reloaded.
Game of Thrones gets to have 2 years between a season. We get 1 year between a season. I think that's reasonable.
That's fair.
But so we're just back recording, doing the same thing we've always done. We're going to talk sports, news, updates, hot takes, our opinions, anything else that falls in between, random movie quotes and references from Nick,
And
I'm sure.
Don't forget Mills Mortal Locks.
Oh, that's right. I did win. I get Mills Mortal Locks when football season rolls back around. Get ready, guys. Prepare to win an insane amount of not much money. So, that being said, we're going to kind of kick things off how we normally do with our hot spots. Same kind of format here. Slight change to the setup. OGs recognize it. New fans don't recognize it. And people listening to just the audio can't tell what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, that being said, we're going to kick off with our hot spots as always, and then we'll kind of roll into a championship wrap-up with the NBA and NHL playoffs wrapping up here. Stanley Cup Finals ended, Monday night?
Yep.
From there, we'll talk about the state of Chicago sports. I'm sure we will have some opinions. Obviously, as Chicago fans, we're going to talk about them. That includes Cubs, White Sox, Bulls, Blackhawks. Nick is an exception. He's a Mariners fan. So, Nick, we will allow you to throw some Mariners rap into there.
First place.
First place.
It was 10 games. It's 4.5 now.
Still, first
I'm
place.
nervous.
First place. Better than what I can say about the White Sox. And then we will wrap up the show, really. We're going to talk about Bears. A lot has changed since the last time we talked about the Chicago Bears. Opinions.
Look at the time capsule from April of 2023.
Yeah, I went and checked our last TikTok video that we posted, and it was us talking about how Justin Fields is the guy. So
he's not that guy.
A whole season has changed.
Oh, spoilers.
He's not the guy.
The whole season has changed. For those of you who keep up with Bears Twitter, there's somewhat of a civil war that went on. And it's taken place again here, actually, for the Blackhawks. It's now the Blackhawks Civil War. I think it's a lot of Bears fans that are just taking that same energy towards the Blackhawks now. But we'll talk about how far we have fallen from where we thought the Bears were going and the direction we thought they were going. And that's how we'll kind of wrap up the show. And then any other things that kind of come to mind throughout. So that being said, we will roll into our hotspots here. Nick, I know you claimed you dibsed going last. So
yes.
I'll let Bobby gather his thoughts for a second. I'll go first here to kind of start it off. In my hot spot, for those who don't know, it's just something quick. It could be sports related, not sports related, just something going on in the world that we want to talk about. We'll try not to get political. That being said, I'm going to get political. Conn Smythe Trophy, for those who are unaware, is the playoff MVP of the Stanley Cup playoffs in the NHL. I do want to emphasize the playoff MVP, not Finals MVP, not game MVP, playoff MVP. Edmonton Oilers lost in 7 games to the Florida Panthers. Congratulations to the Florida Panthers. That being said, Connor McDavid, captain of the Edmonton Oilers, wins the Conn Smythe, making him the... Yeah, he's a very good player. But you'll notice I said Edmonton Oilers, not the Florida Panthers. That is because Connor McDavid is now the 6th player in NHL history to win the Conn Smythe while playing for the losing team. Now, my hot spot, and I think you'll find a pretty even split across NHL fans and everything, is that I don't like it. And that's not to say that Connor McDavid doesn't deserve the Conn Smythe. He broke Wayne Gretzky's scoring record, 40 points in the playoffs, very impressive run. I'm not taking anything away from him. I just feel like that award, being a playoff specific, should go to the most valuable player on the team that won it all. That's just my opinion. I think there were deserving players on Florida that could have won the Conn Smythe. And
who's your top?
Well, yeah, I would have given it to Sergei Bobrovsky. I think he was probably second in line to get it, but
yeah.
And again, this isn't a
Good
knock
run.
on. This isn't to say like it's perfectly reasonable for Connor McDavid to get it. I just feel like it should have some attachment to winning it all, is my opinion. But I can only complain so much because it did take a record-setting performance to win it for him. So like, that's not taking anything away. That's just kind of my opinion on the award.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying, but
I have a hotter take that I'll throw in as we discuss it some more. But go ahead, Bob.
If your name is being put with Wayne Gretzky,
No,
I think you're deserving. You're deserving of a trophy.
I understand. And I'll throw it out there now just to get it out there. I am of the belief, and you're not going to change my mind. No one will change my mind on this. Any other player on Edmonton has that performance in the postseason, that the Conn Smythe is going to a Florida Panther. I think it went to McDavid because part of it is because it's McDavid. And
Okay, I'm gonna finish.
And the reason I say that is because Connor McDavid, undoubtedly best player in the NHL. If you want to argue that he's not, you're not going to convince me he's not a top 3 player in the NHL. I think something that's very important, I think the league would have preferred for Edmonton to win, one, because of how it would affect the Canadian market. It's been 31 years since a Canadian team has won it. That's got to be taking its toll. But 2, it's Connor McDavid's legacy. And when I say what I mean by that is, when you look at all the sports, the NHL and NBA are kind of unique in how important a championship title impacts a player's legacy. I don't know why it's so heavy like that, specifically on those two sports, but you'll hear about it's going to follow McDavid forever that he's 10 years in the league and he hasn't won the Stanley Cup. Might be 9 years. I can't remember off the top of my head. Either way, he's 9 or 10 years in the league, hasn't won the Stanley Cup. His legacy right now is that he's incredible, but always falls short in the playoffs. This is the first time they've made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. I think they've made it to the Western Conference Finals once prior. And the NHL kind of needs those stars to attain that legacy. And so that's why I believe if it wasn't McDavid, there's players on the Oilers that led the league or the playoffs in goals. There's other guys you don't even know that they did that because it was all about McDavid and the attention to McDavid. So I do believe to some extent he got the Conn Smythe as like a legacy booster because right now his legacy is incredibly talented player comes up short in the playoffs. And that's my opinion. People can agree or disagree with me, but I do believe that pretty strongly.
To me, it's just weird that in hockey it's not a finals MVP, like basketball finals. So it's just throw the first 3 rounds out, it's just the finals. For the Super Bowl, it's a Super Bowl MVP, which obviously at that point is probably going to go to the winner. I think Fred Warner, for 49ers, he gets 5 picks, has a ton of sacks or whatever, and they still lose. Okay, we might still give it to him because that's an absurd play. But to me, I feel like the MVP has been flipped on its head so many times by people. It's not a popularity contest, which kind of alludes to that. In basketball, James Harden has won it. Nikola Jokic has won it. To me, it's remove that player from the team, what happens? Mm-hmm. Mike Trout won it for so many years, and people were so mad. But if you take him off the Angels, they're worse than the Sox are now every year for 2012 through 2020. So it's you can't really do that. To me, you take out Connor McDavid, they probably don't make it past the first round. And unfortunately, in the Stanley Cup Finals, you take out Sergei Bobrovsky for those middle 3 games, and they're up 3-0. Well, then they still would have he played so bad towards that.
That's a fair point.
If they would have won in 5 or 6 games, I think Bobrovsky easily wins because if you take him out, then there's no way Florida's making it past the first couple of rounds. Well, but also, with the recency bias of those 3 terrible games for him when he gave up 13 goals in 3 games, it's just unfortunate for him, and you got to look at it through the whole scope of the playoffs, which then that sucks for him.
No, that's true. And my argument of that, and again, I'm not saying Connor McDavid didn't perform to the standard.
Don't you be throwing dirt on my boy's name? No,
listen, I'm not arguing. I understand it, and I can't disagree with the reasoning behind it. It's just my personal feeling on it. But to the same tune, Game 6 and 7, McDavid doesn't score a point.
Right.
Game 7 especially, and he had a handful of turnovers. Now, we can nitpick one game over an incredible playoff
But
run.
also, in that last game, he played a lot.
Yeah, no, he was 100% the most important player to the Edmonton Oilers playoff run.
Yeah.
I just feel like when the other team wins, though, like, how don't you give it to the most important player to their run?
Right. Yeah.
Because let's say something crazy happens, and this will never happen. But let's just say Connor McDavid, or we'll take Leon Draisaitl, puts up the 40 points, but they don't even make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. Edmonton has some crazy high-scoring games. He breaks those records, but they go out in the Western Conference Finals. The other teams that are playing, the scoring is spread out more across their entire, all 4 lines or whatever. Do you give the Conn Smythe then to, let's say, Leon Draisaitl? He broke Wayne Gretzky's record, but they didn't even get to the finals. I mean, and that's an extreme. We'll never see that happen. But my point is just when it's a playoff award, I think you have to really take value in winning it all.
To me, I think they have to at least make the finals. You have to make the Stanley Cups. You have to make that to win that. But to me, so say Florida's up 3-0, and then Edmonton wins 4 straight 1-0 games. I think you can make a big point that Sergei Bobrovsky should get it. Even though they lost, he still would have given up the least amount of goals in a playoff ever as a goalie. And then you can look at it and be like, his team let him down. Because to give up one single goal, you have to expect at least one goal goes in. But it's I think you have to make it to the Stanley Cup playoffs, finals.
And to be as unbiased as possible, I would also be upset if it went to Sergei Bobrovsky in that hypothetical. Yeah. Right? For those who know me, and this is going to sound bad because I also like Georgia, so it just seems like I bandwagon. But I've been rocking with the Panthers since before Jaromir Jagr even joined that team. And that should show something in terms of how long ago I started rocking with the Panthers. I wanted Florida to win. I am excited. I am happy that they won. I like Bobrovsky. I wanted to see him win. He suffered forever in Columbus on a mediocre, underperforming team. And then I like Tkachuk, American-born first off, USA baby. Just a gritty guy, just a gritty player that I enjoy. He's hated by a lot of fans just because of he gets under people's skin a little bit, but he's talented.
But you need those guys to win.
You need those guys, and when you can have one of those guys who also can score and play skill, that's huge. And so I like Florida. I also have a tendency to like watching teams that are always hyped up lose. That's why I liked watching Ovechkin and the Capitals lose for so many years. And I'm going to have that same attitude towards the Oilers. But there will come a point when McDavid, where I'm like, all right, I kind of want the guy to win one.
Yeah.
Just not
when he's on the Hawks.
Yeah. Let him come to Chicago and win one. Then I'll be his biggest fan. Yeah. But until then,
we don't need him. We got Bedard.
Right. I would take him.
Yeah,
I would still take him.
You'd be silly if you'd be like, we don't need McDavid. Every team needs McDavid.
Yeah.
There's not a team in the NHL that wouldn't be like, yes, if McDavid's agent said he only wants to sign with you, there's not a team in the league that would be like, too bad.
Which, I think that's a good thing, too, to bring up when you're looking at MVP or something. That's a good, but I think any team would take Sergei Bobrovsky.
Oh, yeah. Maybe he's 35 now. I think we're going to see Sergei Bobrovsky slowly.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, would anyone want to have that goalie in the playoffs? Everyone would be like, yes, that's my goalie.
He was a stone wall, dude. He had some bad... It happens. He had 3 bad games, which were also coincidentally 2 of those 3 games were very incredible games by Connor McDavid to climb them back into it. But we could get into more of the recap of that as we move into championship. Bobby, you've had plenty of time now to look at your hotspot and formulate the words. Let's hear it.
So, as you all know, the NFL is implementing what the XFL or the UFL.
Break it down for those who don't know, Bob.
Okay, so
explain it to me like I'm 5.
It's pretty complex in all entirety, but basically, the kicker is going to kick from the 35-yard line, and no one from the kicking team can cross a 50 until the ball is caught or hits the ground.
Correct. And the receiving team has blockers that are lined up 10 yards across?
They're lined up between the 35 and the 30-yard line.
Oh, so they have 2 rows of them?
I think it's
okay, because the XFL. This is an adaptation from the XFL.
Yeah, I think
so. The XFL
so,
was they were lined up 10 yards across from each other, and no one could move until the returner touched the ball.
That's what it seems like.
So it seems like it's that, but they're giving more space between them?
I think so.
Okay.
like what it sees
And
from
your-
what I
your-
read.
And your thoughts on
And
it?
you have to catch it between the 20 and goal line.
Yep.
If it doesn't make it to the 20, it's like if you kicked out of bounds. And if it goes over, it's an
Really?
automatic
So the
touchdown.
kicker has to kick it past the 20 at the very least?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so no sky balls.
And then
And,
if
you
you-
can, I do know you can use a punter for this.
You can't.
Yeah.
Like you could just
You
punt
can
it.
punt it instead of...
Oh.
So it's
Wow.
it's like a safety kickoff.
Yeah. It's a unique rule. Your
Yeah.
thoughts, Bobby? This is your hot spot. Share your opinion.
See, I like it because, all right, in the last years, kickoffs. Why were we even having them? Like, to be honest, it's fair catching and touchbacks. That's it. Is all we got. There was no point of watching it. This is gonna bring some juice to the special team, so I kind of like it. Let's change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like it's just literally.
You know what this rule reminds me of? It reminds me of the pitcher batting in the NL for baseball. Coaches and teams had to figure out a new strategy. Like Tony La Russa became kind of famous of moving his pitcher up to 8th because then he gives this leadoff man a guy who's actually going to be on base rather than you're pretty much the pitcher's getting out, so then no one's on base before him.
Yep.
Because like now the Chiefs have said Justin Reed's probably going to kick off some of their kickoffs, so they won't actually have a kicker out there. They'll have a
Because he can kind of boot it. They
yeah.
found that out
when their kicker got hurt.
When Butker was injured.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
So it's like you're putting out a non-kicker out there because
Yeah.
all you have to do is make sure, like, and it doesn't matter how high it is because
Yeah.
no team can start blocking until it gets to the 20-yard line and he receives it.
Yeah.
I like the rule personally. I was talking with my dad, and I kind of agree with you, Bobby. It's like a bad thing for the NFL was special teams slowly becoming irrelevant. And I don't care what anyone says. When you watch a kick return go for a touchdown, or even just a big return, it's one of the more exciting and electric plays of the game.
Yeah.
Devin Hester was like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
spoiled with the
Yeah,
Bears.
we
went
had
from Devin
it
Hester,
good getting to watch
and
him.
then we had Cordell Patterson, which whatever you say, he was still exciting to see. 'cause
Yeah,
you didn't know
I
what was going
like
to happen.
Cordero a lot. But I like the rule because you need to do something to bring back that part of the game. Because like you said, Bobby, what's even the point? If kickers are just shooting it through the back of the end zone,
Yeah.
and we're just
Like-
all it was a way to tease fans into watching before another commercial break.
Right.
And
Exactly.
So,
And it's like at that point, like if I knew they were kicking it off, like I'm gonna go, to the bathroom. I'm
Yeah,
gonna go
like,
pee. Like you know what I mean? Like
this-
I'm gonna go grab a drink. Like,
yeah, this brings some juice. I think it'll bring a new unique strategy as well. Like you're going to see players who don't really have a role finally have one. Like maybe Velus Jones finally has some place on this Chicago
I
Bears
did
team.
read that he's making impacts in OTAs.
You know who also has potential as a kick returner, according to Madden?
Who
Justin Fields.
could
Did
be?
you not see the trailer? It opened up with him returning a kick.
That's kind of cool. But also,
So disrespectful.
also
But I
they
don't
said with like how close everyone is, like it's gonna shorten the field. So like they basically said that you could run like plays.
Yeah. No,
Like-
I
like,
think
you could dump it off.
I-
I
like,
mean, colleges have been doing that for a long time. You have
Yeah.
two men back, and then you do like the guy lays down on the ground, and like you hope that the team doesn't see him. Boise
Oh, yeah,
State
the
would always
camo,
do it,
the-
like whatever, like lay down on the blue grass.
I like it. I'm excited about the rule. I think
Or-
it's going to be.
or it's like Friday Night Lights when he fake hands it off, runs it back.
I just don't know, how does that factor in? Does Justin Fields, like the trade stipulation, is that count as him starting when he returns kicks, or does he have to be a quarterback?
Ooh, I don't know.
That'd be a
I
wild
think it's a
thing.
percentage of plays he has to appear.
So I mean, like there ain't no way that
I don't.
he's gonna
Unless
get.
the Steelers are just giving up huge amounts of touchdowns where he's in more than Russ.
Yeah,
because
I don't.
Which
think,
I don't think that's gonna happen. Their defense is the best part of their game.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any stipulation on like the position he has to play. I just think like if it's like he has to play 50% of your plays, so it's like kickoffs count as plays. So I guess like that would count in.
I'd say. So
he's
barring
not going
a
to be
Russ-
returning kicks, but that would count towards the 50%.
barring a Russ injury, then we're probably not getting any compensation picks.
I didn't expect. I'll save it for the Bears talk, but I don't expect that to turn into a 4th-round pick.
Be nice though.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it if you get the 4th-round pick and he also doesn't play that well. That's kind of my dream scenario.
That's true.
I'll explain later. But
Yep.
no, I like the rule. I think it's going to bring some kind of change, something that the league needed. Even Goodell said they needed to find a way to get the kickoff back into it because
Yeah.
it's just.
You can't take a phase of the game away from the fans.
No.
And that's
Yeah,
pretty
it
much what
is.
they did.
It's
No,
like-
you can't. Like, I like it. I'm a fan of it. Nick, your hot spot.
Mine is, I have a strong feeling about this, and I've had it for a while, and I think it's boiled over into this. I think social media is now hurting sports more than it's helping sports. And how I'll explain that a little bit is I've always looked at, like, I used to love watching SportsCenter. Like, me and Brandon used to watch it before we went to school and everything. And you're just watching highlights of what's happening in sports. Just pretty much watching a full baseball game in like 2 minutes, and then you're going to the next baseball game. Then it turned into a lot of talk. Then it turned into like more talk and drama, to where it's like almost like you were watching The Bachelor or Bachelorette, but revolving around sports. Like just during the NBA playoffs, they were talking about LeBron unfollowing Kendrick Perkins rather than the Celtics versus the Mavericks.
Okay, I 100% agree specifically with this part of what you're saying.
But to me, social media has gone to this point where now everyone on social media has to have that wild take, and they're trying to be first on it, and they're trying to create the drama and start drama. Where it's like, I feel like sports have gone so more of like, when I was growing up, social media was just a bunch of highlight tapes. Like, you would watch a highlight tape of a guy just going crazy. There'd be some kid from no name, like middle of nowhere Iowa, who was like got signed by like Georgia or Alabama, and you would watch him like do just stupid stuff for a while. Yeah. And like sports fans are just always behind their team. Now, being a Mariners fan, they start losing a couple games, everyone's like, oh my gosh, the city's on fire, we have to trade everyone, the GM sucks, the coach sucks, the owners are just billionaires that don't care about the team.
Everyone's so reactionary.
And it's like, are you just trying to say that because you want to be first? And like, it's just like, where I'm like, if we didn't have social media, everyone would be like, you're just reading the paper what happened, you're like, all right, we can handle this, we can deal with it. It's just, to me, it's I feel like it's not helping anymore, it's more hurting, where before it was like, now I can watch my games out of the market. Now I'm just like, I hate it.
Yeah, see, I thought you were going a slightly different direction originally with this, but what I don't like is, I feel like in a lot of cases, players are more focused on like their internet influencer personality.
That too.
Like, what I don't like, or what I shouldn't say I don't like, but I'm just kind of like, why does this matter? Is like, you're watching the college football playoffs, or you're watching the college football championship, and they're pulling up what LeBron tweeted. It's like, I don't care what LeBron tweeted about the game. Like, I think social media, and that sounds like I'm just hating on LeBron, which I'm not, but I just think social media has become too like involved in sports with like the player personalities and everything, where it's like, I don't want that. Like, you're not an influencer to me. You're a professional athlete. Like, I don't care to see Joe Burrow at Paris Fashion Week with his teammates or anything like that. Like, I don't care. Also, quit showing me whatever their game day fit. That doesn't matter to me. Like, I don't care if you look cool. Win the damn game you're playing in. Like,
are you throwing shade at Joe Shiesty?
I'm throwing shade at every single athlete.
To me,
that's
it's
like
not like
this, because it's just like, that's the part of the social media thing, though. Is like,
I don't
that's
care
your
about
brand.
so much
It's
about
your brand.
It is
the pregame fit thing, because like a lot of times it'd be like, all right, like they're walking into the stadium or whatever, and they show it like that. Like, yeah, that's fine or whatever. To me, it's like when you're watching an NBA game and Patrick Mahomes is there, and they highlight Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce for like 20 minutes. I'm like, I'm watching a basketball game. I do not give a shit about Patrick Mahomes being on the sideline.
Fun loving,
It's
outdoorsy,
like, whatever. And like, yeah, I don't hate Patrick Mahomes or whatever, but like, there's times when they do that. NBA All-Star game when they're all playing or whatever. Celebrity All-Star game for softball. Yeah, okay, it's Terrell Owens playing softball. I'm actually watching people play a sport that they don't normally play playing it. It's just, to me, it's like social media has gone so far where it's like, I just need to get my name out there more. It's like, no, you're a professional athlete, but then also like fans just being like on social media, like, I have to get my point across. You're like, really not that important.
I just don't like the. How am I trying to say it? My brain's going smooth on me. Go ahead, Bobby. My brain.
If we're just going on a rant, I hate Elon Musk's Twitter. Man, I get got all the time. Like it's like ultra weed hater 420. Just gets me. I'm like, oh man,
yeah,
like
dude, you've fallen for a lot of those fake like MLF football, and that's like, oh dude. But you know what?
They're verified.
About the Bears Civil War, I know a lot of people who bought into a lot of that stuff.
Exactly.
You know one of them very closely.
Yes.
2 years ago, Barry McCockiner, the Twitter account thing, got me because it said Aaron Rodgers was traded. And he wasn't traded. That was when he still stayed on the Packers for
Yeah.
one more year. And I was just like, and I'm like, I don't care. That's funny. Like, that's just troll people being trolled or whatever. But
now that you could pay to be verified, it's
Yeah,
like, you know what I
that's-
mean?
oh,
Like,
yeah,
that's the
that's-
killer. Like,
You'll
it's
see
like,
Ian Rappaport, but it'll be the slightest variation in like the @ and it's got
Yes.
the check mark and the same picture and name, and I'm like,
instead of O's, it's zeros, but
Yeah.
you can't tell because they look exactly
Bobby
the
sent
same.
me a couple times.
I have.
I'm like, that's fake.
and
Sorry,
I'm like-
Bobby, that's fake.
I'm just like, man, like,
You worried on April 1st. Like, you knew something. You look at your phone and be like, it's April 1st.
well, it's like, I check it, I look, oh, he's verified. All right, that's it. But now I have to like look at the actual name and like check it out, and it's like,
You have to check the follower count, who's
Yeah.
following them.
It's
what I'm
like,
saying, just
why do I need to be
social
doing
We
all
media
need
this?
is
to
a
get rid
mess.
of social media and bring back old school Sports Center, where it's just review. Like, okay, yeah, middle of the baseball season. Okay, yeah, we get some drama because it's 162 games. We really don't care that much. But
Yeah, I get frustrated with like the social media presence of athletes. I guess is what irritates me more.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. I don't view your Twitter post any differently than whoever I follow on Twitter that I know.
Yeah.
Like, that's the
But-
thing is like, but we talk about it like it's law with some of these athletes, and that's what gets under my skin.
That's true. But CTESPN
Hilarious.
is the best thing
It is
ever invented.
hilarious.
have you watched Max Crosby's podcast? He was
No.
on a podcast with someone who was talking about Antonio Brown was the weirdest guy because like he'd go to like the team meetings, be this completely different guy, and then you'd all of a sudden be scrolling through Twitter and it would just be he would be doing the exact opposite of what he just said he was doing. I'm like, that sucks as a teammate, but
The
that is so
hashtag-
funny as an outside fan, just like watching it and being like, what the heck is going on?
Hashtag cracker of the day.
Cracker.
kills me.
Yes, it's like, dude, what is wrong with you? And he's got something against Caitlin Clark, man. He just
He really.
does.
He's
A
keeping
friend of
himself
mine at
relevant.
work firmly believes that he just pays someone to troll on
I could see it.
Twitter, and I don't doubt it. Like it adds up to me.
I mean, he like.
I'm
with,
assuming
with
every
what
time someone
money he
mentions
just
his name.
filed for bankruptcy. It's like, you know.
Yeah,
I honestly feel like it's just him. He's just crazy.
it could be. I think
be,
he's
but-
got. I think he's paying someone to do it, or at least like someone he knows does it for him.
Yeah.
But
But if you haven't seen it yet, go see it. It's great.
yeah, check out some CTESPN, I guess. That'll kind of wrap up Hotspots, though. Let's kind of move in here to our championship talk here. We'll start NBA, since that finals ended first. Boston Celtics, as we know, I'm assuming people who are fans of sports know, Boston Celtics won
Dominated.
in 5. Absolutely dominated every game except for Game 4,
Yeah.
which if you were in someone such as myself, I was like, oh, that's the worst way they could have lost Game 4. That'll get them back into it.
Yeah.
Not what happened. The Celtics promptly beat the brakes off of the Mavericks again. Dominant. I mean, a dominant series.
Just yeah. I mean, I thought I knew they were gonna win. I
wanted the Mavericks to win.
I was hoping it was more competitive, but
It's always tough being like I'm someone who watch basketball and like I like watch a lot of basketball throughout the year. It doesn't have to be the Bulls. I watch other teams, and then you get to the point where it's fine. It's the Eastern Conference Finals versus the Western Conference Finals, and you pick a matchup in your head, and then it just ends up not being that. Like I would have loved to see the Timberwolves versus Celtics. I think that would have been a much better series. Just
Yeah.
They matched up better, and then you get Celtics and Mavs. So a little bit of your hope holds out of like it's still going to be a close game or a close series, and then just absolute wipe out by the Boston Celtics. I mean, they're good. They're a good team. And that's a little bit of where my hotspot came from, of people like just bashing Jason Tatum and the Celtics. And it's like,
I've been bashing Jason.
and I'm like, I don't
understand.
understand.
Cornball. It's kind of funny though.
I don't understand why so many people hate on the Celtics. They're like, wow, I hate the Celtics so much.
I hate
they-
everything Boston. I've been very consistent. I hate everything.
No,
Boston.
and
Yeah,
I get that
that's
too.
fair.
But like some people have hated Boston because they're thinking they just like created a super team. No, their GM was so smart when they traded away Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen to get what turned out to be Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, other guys that teams just get rid of, and then they just put them together.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say any. Even if they went and just built straight up a super team, that's the goal of the NBA now, is to be the next super team. Like
Yeah.
that's what the NBA is. That's what the NBA has been for a long time. And you know, I'm not going to put an exact date on it, but I would say once the Heat built their super team, that became the new standard of building a team. Like super teams existed before them.
You go 2 years before Celtics, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, that was the first super team. Always
Okay.
for me.
Okay, fair enough.
Sure.
But I didn't follow the NBA very much there. But I just from those we'll go with those points on that 3-year window, like from that point forward, that was the blueprint for every team. Is let's just be the team that shells out the money and builds the super team.
Then like
So I don't really care
Yeah.
about that. I've just never really liked anything Boston. I wanted the Mavericks to win because I do like Luka.
well, now the NBA
Big fan of Kyrie after playing with him in 2K.
Dude, Kyrie
Dude,
is insane.
Absolute green bean all the time.
Dude, it's
It's insane.
me and Andrew have been playing a lot.
We've
of
played
2K.
a lot of 2K. By
Yeah.
the way, I beat Bobby almost every time.
I'll
Because
give
you got
him
Kyrie.
No, I gave him the Celtics.
Yeah, he
Not the
did.
Celtics. I gave him the Mavericks. I started playing. You know who I play with now? I play with the 07-08 Denver Nuggets. Carmelo
Dude,
and
Allen
Allen
Iverson.
Iverson. That's
a
who I
squad,
rock
right?
with.
and who?
J.R. Smith?
Yep.
J.R. Smith.
Man,
absolute
I don't know how
money.
you knew that.
Kenya Martin?
Yeah, J.R. Smith, we had a game where I think I went like 12 of 13 from 3 with him. He couldn't miss.
Yeah, it was, he went off.
But he also doesn't know how to.
Kyrie-
He doesn't know where he's at on the court in the NBA championship. Apparently.
That was a rough. That's a rough.
That's a brutal one.
Yeah.
But no, my thoughts on the NBA more specifically here though is it didn't even feel like it was like the championship. I think the NBA isn't irrelevant. That would be extreme, but I just don't think it has like the excitement to it that other playoffs have. And I think part of that is the in-season tournament.
That was a weird thing.
Like
It was
the
kinda
NBA
weird.
is doing all of this. What I've heard is they're mimicking very heavily the format of European soccer, where they want to have like all of these external tournaments and titles that happen while in season. Like, you know, I'm not even going to try and act like I know all of them, but you guys get my point. What I'm saying is, like, you have like Copa. You have all these weird things that just go on in season. It's like, oh, this is this cup that's happening in the Premier League. So that to me almost it takes away from the prestige of the NBA championship. Like, dude, I barely heard about the NBA championship, and I don't follow the NBA a ton, but I'm pretty involved in like keeping up with sports, and it just didn't seem to have much excitement to it.
To me, there's 3 problems that the NBA has been having recently, which I don't know how they're going to fix it. It's the teams being traded around, like players being traded around so much. Back 2000 to like 2010, the Celtics and Lakers absolutely hated each other. And then, we had the Kobe and Shaq drama or whatever. But it was always like teams would build on each side for like 10, 15 years of like teams just hating each other. And like there's still animosity from a couple teams, but it's getting to the point where Chris Paul has been traded around so many times. Paul George has flipped around different teams.
He might
be
getting a max contract right now.
Yeah. It's like there's so many players where it's like there's the animosity of I hate this guy. But now so many of them are like, oh, we're friends all the time. So there's not like that built up like beef that you get. And for me, football has been the same way. Not so much with like the guys jumping teams, but just like people being more friends. But like the Packers and Bears fan bases still hate each other, so it fuels the rivalry on the field. So like I feel like that's never going to go away. Even if Jordan Love and Caleb Williams become best friends, there's still going to be that raw power of like we hate each other on the field.
Yeah.
Where the NBA I feel like is slowly losing that, to where there's not that Celtics and Lakers like divide. When Derrick Rose and the Bulls went up against the Big Three in the Miami, like people would watch that series because of the tension. Like Joakim Noah hated LeBron James, and everyone hated Joakim Noah.
It just doesn't exist anymore. And that goes back to kind of the super team thing. Is like if we're all buds, we'll just go to one team together. We'll make it an absolute powerhouse, and we'll see how far we can take it.
Also,
and if not, we'll just try and bring in another star that wants to try and win a championship.
Also, huge problem is nepotism. Yeah.
Nepotism officially exists in the NBA.
It does. It's
nepotism realistically exists in all professional sports, but
yeah, but like Bronny James did not deserve to be drafted at all.
We're gonna see. I'm waiting for him to have like an actual decent career. Like he's probably not gonna be as highly touted out. I don't think he deserves to be drafted, or the first 58 people got drafted. I don't think he's one of the top 58.
Especially 55.
58.
Oh.
There's 2 teams. The Bulls lost their second round pick, and the Pelicans lost their second round pick. So that was the 2
for
tampering.
The
Lonzo Ball trade, which turned out great for us. We got him for 30 games or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like, wow.
But to me, he's not one of the top 58. But
It was
like
55.
55?
Yeah, even worse. Sorry.
Yeah, so even worse.
Sorry, I had to check because thought I was going insane.
But it's like Tobias was saying nepotism. I'm like, okay, yeah, because like the Lakers are like, we want to keep LeBron for the last couple of years.
But
or whatever
like,
for his
if I'm a
contract.
player on the Lakers, I would be pissed. Like you know what I mean? We're taking someone who averaged
4 points a game.
4 points a game, and
Point like 8
and just came
rebounds.
back from heart surgery, like.
yeah, it's like
I'm not gonna hold the heart surgery.
No, I'm not gonna hold it to him, but maybe he should have played one more year in college. Like, but
Yeah,
you knew
he
his.
wasn't qualified to get drafted.
You
and
knew
it's just-
LeBron had enough pull with the Lakers organization or any organization to the point if the Lakers said we're not taking him, he could be like, "All right, trade me to the Spurs. The Spurs will take him," or whatever it would get. Whatever. It
yeah,
would be,
someone was going to
to the point of that.
hitch
And
their
I hope he
wagon
has
to
a
him,
good
though.
career. I mean, I think you have a dad who's extremely talented and extremely athletic. Hopefully, you can mount to something, but hopefully, you can also carve out your own path in the NBA because. To be honest, if he has a terrible career like Lonzo Ball did with LA, it's just gonna make people hate him more. And that's
Yeah, well, it's tough to carve your own path when your path starts by you totally being drafted just because your dad plays for
Yeah.
the team. I don't want to
story.
like rag on the guy. He shouldn't have been drafted. Like he
Just
just shouldn't
nepotism.
have.
Ken Griffey Jr., Ken Griffey Sr. They played on the same team, but Ken Griffey Jr. was a stud.
Yeah.
Every team wanted him. It's like
Exactly. I mean, I
if
think
Bronny James was
argu-
6'10", like throwing down windmill dunks from the free throw line, be like, okay, yeah, every team wants him. The Lakers are for sure going to try to get him because it'll be paired up with his dad.
No, absolute. It just bugs me. Goes
Yeah.
back to NBA's got problems, man. They got to find a way.
they got figured out.
I,
You
uh,
got to turn it around.
There's plenty of popularity among the athletes and for the sport in general. So like, hopefully they can figure it out. But it just I don't get excited for NBA games. I didn't get excited for the NBA championship. I watched. I think every time I tuned into a game, it was already like a 20-point.
I watched like 2.5 games total of the
Yeah,
5, so half.
It just
And
wasn't.
that's a high ball of how
Yeah,
much time I
yeah.
spent watching
It just wasn't that good. Like, it wasn't competitive, which sucks. Like, I didn't expect it to be so uncompetitive, but that's just the state of the NBA, and they kind of got to work on it. But if you swing over to the NHL, we had a Game 7, and I thought an exciting series, weird series though, because
was.
you don't normally you never expect a sweep, especially in a championship round. Like, you can go up 3-0, you're probably not sweeping.
To me,
That's
it's
bad.
even
Like,
harder
that's worst case scenario is you get swept.
for a sweep when you're starting at home. If you start on the road and you can win those first 2 games,
Yeah,
to
that's
me,
that's
a
a little
sweep is
different,
almost mostly more
Like,
plausible.
you should
because you
have
won
that.
the 2 hard games, but this one they had to win the first 2 in Florida, which okay they won. It's really hard to go win 2 straight, especially on an elimination game away.
Yeah, this was a unique one because Florida wins the first 3 games, semi gritty, but still dominant in the way that like they were close scoring games, but like Florida just controlled the game, and then you go into games 4, 5, and 6, and Edmonton wins by they score they score 13 goals.
Yeah, they got
in 3
absolute
games.
floored.
Sergei Bobrovsky gets pulled in Game 4. Like they win by 3 or more goals in each of those games, and then Game 7 goes right back to what the first 3 games are, and it's just Florida playing physical, kind of just pounding them into the boards, beating them down and wearing them down really well. And it's another dominant win for them. But like,
I mean,
it was dominant in the way that they controlled the game, but at the same time, it was close,
Like, there
all the
was
way till the end because like
so many just like opportunities that like that could have gone the other way. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it was a close game. Like,
And to me, it's scary. You go back to like you go baseball, basketball, football. A 1-score game, you got Tom Brady on the other end. Like he's probably going to score. Did Patrick Mahomes tight a game or whatever, he's going to score. 1-run game in baseball, Mike Trout's on the other team. It's like, okay, he might score anytime. Connor McDavid's one of the best hockey players, for sure the best hockey player currently right now.
yeah.
And
He's
it's like
gonna be
to
an
be
all-timer.
1 goal ahead at any point he can come and just put the dangles on, and then it's just him. It's your best versus best.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this series is because you mentioned it earlier, Bobby, when we were talking Conn Smythe in my hotspot, but he was playing so much that like you could see. Bobby and I watched the game together. You could see it at the end when he like was so tired that he like felt like he lost his balance and just like stayed on his knee for a second. Right when that happened, I'm like, this game's over. Like, a little under 2 minutes to go, and McDavid looks like he can barely like get himself going. You're done. Like that's part of having to claw back from being down 3-0. It's impressive to go down 3-0 and bring it back to Game 7. Very impressive. Something that you should be proud of, but you're not really going to, because at the end of the day, you lost the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah.
So, like, that's going to sit heavy. Bobby and I actually discussed this. Would you rather get swept or lose the way Edmonton did? Which one do you think would be worse, in your opinion?
Would be worse to be swept. Because if I, like right now, if I'm Edmonton's GM and coach, I go back to my players and say, we can do it. We just have to win one of the first 3 games. We have a chance. We're in there. But we get swept. All right, every single one of my players thinks we don't deserve to be there. So now it's going to be harder to get back there. I think when you get to the point where you're like, we almost beat the team that won.
Yeah.
We're good.
My thing is, I feel like the more embarrassing way to lose is to get swept, but the more heartbreaking way to lose is to take it back to Game 7 and lose.
And yes, more heartbreaking.
Yeah. But I guess my question is, like, which one would sit on your mind longer? And for me, it's losing in Game 7 after coming back from 3-0, because, like, we were close. And in this series specifically, you dominated the games 4, 5, and 6. I mean, you dominated those. So you go in and you're like, we have all the momentum. You know, they haven't been able to keep up with us, and Edmonton was skating circles around them.
Yeah.
Like, everything about it, like, Florida's sitting there shell-shocked, like, what just happened? Mm-hmm. And so then you go in, and Florida essentially took away everything you did well in those other 3 games. And I think that would eat at me more throughout the offseason, because I know, like, we were right there. Whereas if I got swept, it would be more embarrassing. But then it's like, you know, like, shit, like, they beat the brakes off of us. To get swept means they beat you. Like, you got spanked if you get swept. Doesn't matter if it's 1-0 games, because then that goalie swept you and beat the brakes off you for 4 games.
To me, I look at it coach-wise, yes, like, it's a tough one to go either way, because you can look at it either way. But to me, as like a player, I'll go to football because it's the only thing I think of. Would I rather be a Falcons player when we were winning 28-3, we ended up losing, or be a TCU player who just got absolutely just demolished right away?
Ooh, that's a good.
Well, to me, I'd rather be a Falcons player because, like, at least for part of the game, it looked like we knew how to play football and we can compete, as opposed to just absolutely thrash from the very start of the game. All right, so we didn't deserve to be there. We shouldn't have played. And, that's tough. You still won a playoff game beforehand. Like, yeah, you look back at it, when Notre Dame played Alabama and lost like 63-7, that's a terrible look because you didn't beat anyone, so you look like you don't deserve to be there.
Won't happen anymore, though.
That's a tough comparison because the reason I say it's a tough comparison, I get where you're going there, but like that, I think that would be more comparable to if Florida ended up losing and gave up the 3-0 lead and lost to the Atlanta one. You would have to almost be like, you know, come back in the Super Bowl, take it to overtime and lose. In which case, like, yes, as a player, I would rather lose that one than get blown out like TCU did. I think as a coach, it's much or GM, which by the way, Edmonton is moving on from their GM after this.
Really?
Yeah, he's not coming back. Wow. But as a coach or GM, I would rather lose the way Edmonton lost because I could be like, okay, we were close. Like, these are some minor adjustments in our game, and bring in a couple different pieces that might be able to like counter the Florida style. We'll call it the Eastern Conference style of play, because for as long as I've been into hockey, Western Conference has been way more speed, finesse, and just like skill and setup. Eastern Conference has been a lot more of like control the physicality of the game, get your opportunities, and take advantage of those opportunities. Like, you're gonna, like, if you control the physicality of the game, you're going, like, that is going to lead to you having scoring chances.
Yeah, I think you look at the Blackhawks dynasty they were able to build. You had the finesse of Patrick Kane. You had the, like, control the puck of Jonathan Toews. But then you had to build, like, the guys like Duncan Keith and Andrew Shaw, like, the guys that can get physical.
Yeah. Dustin
Bufflin. Like, you had to do
Brian
that.
Mickle.
Like, you had to get to that level to where it's like, Edmonton can go there now. Because, like, if you just lose 4-0, it's like, well, what do we do?
Yeah.
We can't even win one game from them, which means we need a ton of pieces. Like, okay, we have Connor McDavid, but we need 3 more lines that are going to be good. We have nothing else.
But overall, great finals. It
was exciting.
It was exciting.
Yeah, they were entertaining games.
I'd rather
enjoyed
watch
them.
the NHL finals than the NBA, and I'd much rather watch an NBA game than an NHL game. So it's like it threw me off.
The atmosphere of the Stanley Cup playoffs is like none other. I think for people who aren't into hockey and you want to get into hockey, watch the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, if you
And,
want to
like,
get into basketball,
that will
watch
get
March
you to
Madness.
Yes, March Madness.
Yes, that's the stuff that'll get you to like the sport, and then you'll learn to appreciate the regular season stuff. But like, you got to watch like the peak of it to get into a new sport. Like,
Right? Yeah.
You don't got to go watch the Blackhawks lose 7-2 on a random Tuesday night in November. Like that's not getting you anybody into hockey.
No,
Although
But the
we-
Stanley
not
Cup
at all.
Finals, it was exciting, and I was happy with it. Hopefully, we get to see the Blackhawks there at some point again soon. They have the second overall pick, which is exciting.
Let's go.
So
I mean, it was still exciting. We went. I mean, we can flip to like the Chicago sports side of it, but we went to the opening night last year, home opener, Connor Bedard's first game.
yeah,
He scores a goal, like absolutely electric, pretty much sold out crowd, and they were absolutely terrible the year before. I mean,
oh yeah, the
it's
thing is like hockey is an exciting sport, but it's just tough to watch when you're like it's one of those sports where when your team is bad, it's tough to watch because you're losing a lot of games like 4-0 or 4-1, 5-1, and it's just you're kind of there like these games aren't close, and it's just like it's sloppy hockey versus like clean, organized, good hockey.
yeah.
And that's what makes it tough to watch.
To me, it's
sometimes.
just the frustratingness of Chicago sports because we've seen in our lifetime we've seen success from all major four sports teams. To where it's like you have that nostalgia of like, oh, we can just do it again. But
Major
it's like
four. Who's the one out?
four sports. I'm
Oh,
sorry,
okay,
all four
okay.
sports.
Sorry, I was
Yeah.
like, well, are we excluded?
No, because like we saw the Bears.
Well,
go
05.
we saw the
05
Bears go to
count.
the Super Bowl. I mean, they lost, but like
Yeah.
we still saw like we've seen it.
Yeah.
Cubs winning in 2016.
Yes.
Sox winning in 2005. Like, yeah, that was a long time ago. But
Bulls
it's like,
had some strong playoff runs.
yeah,
back in the
Bulls with
day.
Derrick Rose. Like that was fascinating to watch.
Captain
and then,
Kirk.
I mean, yeah,
Oh,
Blackhawks.
yeah, my
Blackhawks we were spoiled.
The Blackhawks dynasty was
As
like
a
none
Chicago fan base, we were spoiled by them because that was a decade of success as opposed
Yeah.
to every other sport we've had. I mean, Bobby, how happy were you with the Cubs? Maybe 2 years? 2016 and 2015, 2017? Like one of those years was like also
2015, like 2016 was really like that, and then kind of fell off, and then
and then they came back, and then they fell off again,
yeah, exactly.
and now they're falling off.
And the
again.
Brewers are just on a hot streak.
Yeah.
Brewers are just on a hot streak.
Hey, well, we got their coach, so
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's got you last place in the division. So,
yeah, it's
but the no, I mean we were spoiled with the Blackhawks dynasty for sure. I'll take that 2013 Blackhawks team against any of them. I'll stand by that. That 2013 team was special. But the Blackhawks it does look exciting. They have the second overall pick. I mentioned that there's a Bears civil war. There's a Twitter civil war right now going on for the Blackhawks. It is just smearing the two prospects that they're looking at in that position. Anything that the team does, the organization does, is viewed as like a stupid, reckless decision. I think Blackhawks fans are getting impatient because we have watched them be kind of bad for a while now.
Yeah.
And we know for a fact they can't have a top 5 pick at all next year because they have a similar rule to the MLB where major market teams can only pick within the top 5 X amount of years over a 5-year span.
That we're going to win the Stanley Cup next year. So
Yeah,
it
that's
doesn't
what I'm
matter.
hoping for. Connor McDavid's going to come over. Leon Draisaitl. Remember that name, folks. Anyways,
just contract up.
there's
Can
talks.
you follow up that statement? You can't just say a name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So Leon Draisaitl right now. There is rumors that the Edmonton Oilers, who, as we know, we're in the Stanley Cup Finals, and Leon Draisaitl is a goal-scoring machine. There is talk that they might not move forward with him anymore, just because he has a huge cap hit. He's coming up on his final season in next year's the end of his contract year, and so there's belief that they're going to just move on from him.
And Connor McDavid's this year or next year, right?
Connor McDavid, I believe, is in 2 years.
I mean, he's a lifer. I don't think he's leaving.
I wouldn't be shocked if he does.
If they would have
Wayne
lost in the
Gretzky
first,
left him.
if they would have lost in the first round, that I think Connor McDavid would have requested a trade as soon as he was able to, because I want to win. Like, you can't be that dominant at a sport for that long. I think it's mostly because Mike Trout's been hurt for so long.
Yeah, McDavid's got 25, 26 is his contract here.
Okay.
So
if Edmonton wants to keep him, they're not going to pay Draisaitl before that, because they don't want him to cap room.
But the thing is, like, so Draisaitl was drafted before McDavid, and he was drafted 3rd overall, highest drafted German-born player for whoever cares. But he was very talented in his own right, and then they got McDavid, and that kind of ascended Draisaitl into this elite goal scorer. McDavid's the better player. Draisaitl's the better goal scorer. So what I would love for the Blackhawks to do, and they're not going to do it, I just know it, but I would love for them to bring on Leon Draisaitl, because Connor Bedard's play style, he's not meant to be the goal scorer, right? He's supposed to be the guy who sets it all up. Like, he's supposed to be the McDavid. You know, he sets up the offense. A lot of his points should come from assists, but they have no one else who finishes off goals.
Right, yeah.
So I would love for that to happen. It's not going to happen, though. That's just me being that's my wishful thinking there.
You never know.
You never know. Edmonton, with them kind of looking at, like, can we continue to move forward with Leon Draisaitl? I don't know. And that makes him available. If I'm the Blackhawks, I would at least call in and check. You know what I mean? See what you got. You have a lot of picks.
Out of all the
your
teams,
young guys are coming up. Go get yourself someone.
Out of all the teams in Chicago, I mean, the Bears are pretty close, but I think the Bears Ryan Poles has done a good job. But the Blackhawks are so young. Go grab a couple older veterans that might cost a lot of money, but you're not paying, like, you got Connor Bedard for a couple of years. All these other young guys,
Draisaitl's 28 for what that's worth. He's not even 30.
Yeah.
So he's old in the sense of sports, where he's like getting to the point where he's getting paid decent money because
he's
been
10 years in the league.
Yeah.
He came in at 18.
But if you watch the Blackhawks last year, they sucked. They looked not
they look
good.
Bad.
They look unpolished as
That's
a
good way to put it. Unpolished.
Good corporate word out there.
Yeah.
But they kept playing hard. Like, they're just young. They make mistakes. So give them a couple veteran guys that you're paying more money.
They have young pieces. They're about to add another one. They have the 2nd overall pick.
Yeah.
They're adding another young piece. You need to shore up your defense. You need to shore up your goaltending. But I still think, I'm a believer that when you have a young team and a young core, you need to go and get impact veterans. Bring those guys in. Let those go a long way in developing your younger guys.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Like trading Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey.
I like that move.
Yeah, you bring in youth to go with DeMar DeRozan, who's older.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand. Giddy, man. That's disrespectful to the man. He got screwed. He got he did get screwed.
Allegedly.
But I
to
think
me,
the Blackhawks, the path is there.
Besides
it's
the
just,
Bears,
can we see it through?
If you take the Bears out of it, the Blackhawks are you can almost see a path going
Yes,
forward.
I think they have the most upside. They're trending in the right direction most next to the Bears.
The White Sox messed it up, where they had a bunch of young guys and never went and got that veteran piece to be like,
dude, don't even get me started.
Here's how you go. Like, you had all those guys in 2019 where it was like, this is what you have. The Cubs had it in 2016. They had Anthony Rizzo, who was not that much older than Chris Bryant and Javi Baez. They had David Ross and like some of those guys who knew they were going to be done. But it's like, you almost had the framework for, like, you have a veteran guy, you have like a guy who's been there before, knows, not to the World Series, but who's been in the league long enough. And then it didn't work for a little bit, and I don't know if Cubs fans got impatient or if they made the GMs get impatient, but they blew it up so fast. Kind of try to put it back together, but I think they're back in the same place where they don't have a clear path of we need these 3 pieces and we're good to go.
I mean, really, with the Cubs, I think it's more bullpen. Our starting pitching, I mean, Magna, I don't know how to say his name. Insane. He's insane.
Shota Imagya.
Yeah. It's really just a bullpen, and they give up all these runs, and they just, I don't know. We just need consistent bullpen arms. That would be my biggest thing, is make a trade now. I
think the Cubs are in a spot where they might end up packing it in for the year.
Yeah.
And it sucks that they're going to be there, because there are you look at the Cubs and you look at the White Sox. The Cubs have more pieces that you can get excited about. The White Sox have Garrett Crochet and Luis Robert. And that is really all there is on that team to look at and be like, Yeah, look at them. Well, I'm actually liking Corey Lee for whatever that's worth. But, like, the Cubs' position is almost like how I look at it, it's like, how didn't we get there? Like, how aren't we there?
Yeah.
At least fighting for the division spot. Like, okay, you're in a division
they're in last
where,
place, but it's like it's a tight division. It's
Yeah.
a very tight division.
I mean,
I don't know the standings off the top of my head, but I know the Cubs are at like 37 or 38 wins,
Yeah,
and then like
40.
and then I think like 41 or something, 42 is leading the division. So the Cubs are very much in it, which is why it's like, do we pack it in? Do we not pack it in?
They're not last anymore. They're 38 and 44.
There
Brewers are 48 and 33.
Hot streak.
Yeah.
Hot streak.
But Cardinals are at 41 and 38. So, like, to get...
Which, I was at a Cardinals game. Awesome stadium.
I like their stadium.
I think it's my favorite baseball stadium.
Whoa,
You gotta go to
whoa, whoa,
Baltimore.
I've never been.
I'm telling you, when you go to Baltimore, that's my favorite so far.
whoa. Bodymore, Murderland. But, it's from The Wire. You guys need to watch The Wire if you haven't. But, Fenway. Pretty cool, man.
I'm sure. I like
Fenway.
St. Louis Stadium is cool. No other way to put it. It also looks huge, but it's not like massive.
Yeah.
When you're sitting in it, you're just like, this place looks massive.
I think
dope.
it's
Also,
weird.
Andrew went on a 96-degree day.
Yeah,
that was
sweat like a wildebeest. You would have
that's
thought
a
I
hot day.
jumped in a pool with how wet my
But
clothing
wouldn't
was.
it be like it's
Went
nice?
tank top though. Went tank top. Worked on the farmer's tan.
It's
Didn't
nice
get burned.
having jerseys that you can wear that aren't black. I'm just saying, in a summer sport, for a base color to be black is just a terrible idea.
Asinine.
Like the Rockies, a little bit, in a colder climate. So
Rock the purple,
works a little bit, but like you wear that purple jersey. The White Sox, I feel like almost every fan jersey they spit out, it's almost always just full black jersey.
The City Connects are so cool, but they're black.
Yeah.
And so
Just
like,
sucks in that heat.
First off, I'm not stepping foot in White Sox Stadium until Jerry Reinsdorf is of another planet.
What if you get free tickets?
Doesn't care. I don't care. I better get free tickets, free parking, and free food.
All right.
Take the
spend
train,
it-
it's free parking.
Free tickets and free parking, but no free food.
It depends on who's going.
I'm going
Nick
to the
can.
Mariners game as a Mariners fan.
Well, Nick's paying money.
Maybe. Well, it's tough, dude. I don't want to give anything to that team. Like, they piss me off. The White Sox piss me off. And they're going to trade Garrett Crochet.
They're gonna
probably
trade
to
Luis
the Yankees. And they're going to trade Luis Robert.
They haven't traded him yet, though.
Well,
They got a month left.
They're asking for, I guess they're asking for something north of the Juan Soto return. They're basically my understanding is these two guys aren't untouchable, but they're as close to untouchable as you can get without them just straight up saying no. So I don't like it personally because you have guys in your minor league system that are close to being ready to come up. I don't see the vision. I guess if you sold the fans on this isn't going to be a full scale rebuild. We just need to retool, get some prospects built up, but the plan is to be competitive in the near future. You didn't. It's one thing if you give the Cubs 2026 deadline originally.
2027, yeah.
2027. That's when we're trying to be competitive again. Okay, you pitch me that, I'll understand it. But you're telling us we just need a year or two. Yeah, I'm gonna expect that you're gonna keep your best player and now your best pitcher.
Yeah.
I would expect that those two guys who are under team control combined for the next 6 years.
Also,
I would expect you to keep them.
Pedro Graful needs to
Idiot.
go.
I hate that man.
He needs to go.
Was that a joke on his last name?
Yeah,
Or did you
Yeah.
say his last
Graful.
name. right? Okay.
Graful.
I didn't know if you were just purposely saying
No,
his
he's a
last name
fool,
wrong
dude. He's a
or
clown.
Yeah,
I
absolute
didn't know how
clown.
to say it.
Andrew,
So yeah,
Andrew
basically,
taught me that.
the state of the White Sox is embarrassing, pathetic, and disgraceful.
But to me, right now, with going a month into the trade deadline, I'd rather be where this as a GM. I'd rather be where the Sox are than where the Cubs are. Because Cubs right now, it's do we risk trading some of our farm system guys to get a couple bullpen
you're in
arms?
no man's land.
Well,
Because we still I look at the Mariners a couple
well,
years ago when they ran
here's
on
the
that
thing,
14-game win streak. They went from last place to second place. The Cubs could do that. The Cubs had a bad stretch where
Well,
they went down.
Yeah, but here's
They
the
start
thing.
off so
That-
hot.
that-
Yeah.
They're talking that they could trade either Happ or Suzuki, and we have one of the best farm systems in the league. So, you can pull up guys that will fill in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I feel like you also don't want to trade those guys and then next year be like, wow, I wish we had Ian. I wish we had a big hitter who can score some runs for
I don't
a
know.
young
Ian
team.
Happ is just like so inconsistent. Suzuki, I want to stay. That's for sure. Ian Happ, I wouldn't be hurt if he.
I just
if
want
he
all
left.
the GMs to listen
his
to
entire
Bobby.
career has been meh.
Yeah.
And whatever, like Bobby just mentioned Ian Happ. Whatever team picks up Ian Happ at the trade deadline is going to go to the postseason rounds, just like
Dude,
Jock Peterson.
I swear, if it's another Jock Peterson, dude, I
He's
hate
gonna
Jock
pop
Peterson.
off,
Also,
dude.
where's Jock Peterson now? Nowhere.
San
That guy's
Francisco.
a bum.
Don't matter.
I know he's in San
Jocktober
Francisco.
Jocktober happened.
Yeah.
Exactly.
At the end of the day,
Pretty much
Jocktober
propelled
happened.
the Braves to win that World Series that year.
Yeah,
And
he and
then-
Eddie Rosario just like carried the Braves.
And to the World Series where then Jorge Soler hit like 9 home runs against the Astros.
yeah,
And Bobby was like, we used to have him too.
yeah, that's true. You did used to have him.
That's a different story though. That wasn't just like he was like having a bad year. Like Jorge Soler was just kind of like
He never met his expectations.
Yeah,
with
he
the-
was
with the
supposed to be like.
Cubs.
Also, wasn't he on the Dodgers for a while?
He was on
afterwards?
he's on the Royals. They sent him to
Royals,
the
yeah.
Royals.
Oh yeah, okay.
Cubs, Royals.
very similar color scheme.
And then he went to Miami and then then he went to Atlanta and then Atlanta traded Miami.
Also, how about Shohei just going to the Dodgers, man? Hate it.
Now Jorge Soler's on the Giants.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
Dodgers.
a long way removed from the Shohei thing. I didn't like it either.
I
but
know, man. It's just.
I
No,
don't-
it's
I
been a
don't like
while.
the lay-
It's been
I
a
don't
while.
like the
It's-
layout of his contract.
And they got Teoscar Hernandez from the Mariners.
Yeah, I don't like the layout of the
I was
Shohei
mad at
contract.
that
It's
trade
cheap.
for. I'll throw my Mariners one piece in. I was mad that they got rid of Teoscar Hernandez until I saw his stats at Safeco Field. He was batting like 112 and had like 2 home runs. And Safeco's a pretty easy ballpark to hit in when
Hitter-friendly.
like most people hit better there at home than they do away. So I was like, okay, I guess that makes sense. Like you don't want a guy who can't hit well at your own ballpark. Like
Yeah.
okay, yeah, he doesn't hit well in Minute Maid. You play there the most out of like any other place, but it's like, all right, it's still our
82
home
of your
park.
games are there. So,
Yeah, so it's like, dude, we need to do something. And now he's just absolutely tearing it up for the Dodgers. And I'm like, you know what? I'm okay.
yeah, it
Mariners
is
are
what-
still in first place. Talk to me in a month from now when they're not in first place
they're
anymore.
still in first place, and we'll continue to revisit that. But let's move into the meat and potatoes of Chicago sports, and that is we've kind of hinted at the direction of the Bears, and I think you can, from what we've been hinting at, people could take away that we are all kind of optimistic and feel good about the direction of the Bears. Not the first time we felt this way, though. If we flash back to April of 2023, fresh off the 2022 season, we all sat here and thinking that we saw where Justin Fields could take the Bears. Evidently, that wasn't very far.
Yeah.
We saw how far his legs could get him individually, but Justin Fields is no longer Bears. He's on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
With
I
Russ.
distinctly
He's
remember
with Russ.
talking about going into this past season.
Dangerous.
Dangerous.
It's spicy.
It's spicy.
Um,
I specifically remember going into this upcoming season thinking like, all right, Justin Fields is going to take that next step in his development. We're going to be good. He's going to lock it down and everything, and it just didn't happen.
No.
I do want to say I was very pessimistic where I still said the Bears were going to finish in third place, but I thought Justin Fields was going to progress
Yeah.
to the part of what I always said 2 years before was the Bears need to do something that like Jalen Hurts and the Eagles had. They brought A.J. Brown in,
Yes.
and then Jalen Hurts went from average to slightly below average to an above average,
Yeah.
if not great quarterback. Justin Fields went from below average to sub-poor quarterback to exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't develop as a passer, and I was with you, Nick. My thing was, I just remember we golfed with that one dude that one day, and we kind of settled on 7-8 wins, and the Bears reached 7-10 this year. They exceeded the win total I expected from them. What I wanted to see Justin Fields develop as a passer, and it just didn't happen. And there was the Civil War, and a lot of things were said amongst Bears fans to
Yes.
each other about players, about people that they know personally.
Yes, a lot of things were said, and you know what?
Things got ugly for a while there.
I've come out of this, Mr. Miller. I'm going to take his approach. I'm just not going to get involved in Bears quarterback personally.
yes, Mr. Not me, Mr. Miller. My
Yeah.
father, Mr. Miller.
But
Yeah,
also,
wise
I was not the
Mr.
one
Miller.
saying these words at all.
I keep it's alluding to one of us said something to each other. No, the three of us were cool.
Yeah.
But we know some people that weren't cool, and
To me,
we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
going into the season, like Andrew and I are talking about 8 wins. To me, it was going to be more like, I don't care if the Bears lose 49-45 and Justin Fields threw for 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Be like, that's still, in my mind, Justin Fields gets the win, the Bears get the loss. I thought the defense was going to be the problem.
Yes, I agree.
End of the
100%
season,
agree.
Bears still over exceeded expectations in my mind as a team, but it was the defensive side. I
was.
feel like if Justin Fields would have done what I expected him to do, and the defense picked up
I
like
think
that,
they make the playoffs.
Bears should have made the playoffs and closer to 10-7 than 7-10.
Yeah, I was officially out on Fields in the Browns game. Everyone wants. We could talk about how Darnell Mooney dropped the Hail Mary in the end zone.
And
to win.
Robert Tunyon
Yeah.
dropped that one pass, but still, that's
We could talk about that, but like that's gonna happen in a game. And the fact of the matter is, Eddie Jackson returned an interception to the 1 yard line, and it took you 6 plays to score. Like, and you 3 interceptions. They picked off Joe Flacco 3 times in their zone. So like you get the ball in your
Yeah.
offense. Like,
one offensive touchdown in that game, I think.
yes, 1 offensive touchdown. It was a horrible offensive game, and to me, it just encapsulated the Justin Fields experience. He will make a flashy play here and there. He'll do something that makes you go, see, like, this guy's got talent. But at the end of the day, he doesn't close out games. He wasn't good enough to get it done. And I could watch, like you said, I could watch them lose if they're losing in a shootout. And it's like, well, last team with the ball is winning. But they weren't losing that way.
No.
They were losing ugly. Like, they were losing low-scoring games where you should be putting up more than 15 points, 16 points.
Broncos
And,
game.
yeah, it just, at the end of the day,
Just
for those living under a rock or aren't in the loop, the Bears drafted Caleb Williams first overall. They inherited it from the Carolina Panthers. Didn't have to trade anything for that pick.
No.
Like, it was handed to them on a silver platter. Anyone, and I'm gonna throw some shade. Anyone with half a brain is drafting Caleb Williams over Justin Fields coming back for year 4, thinking that after 3 years in the league, you're going to make some transformational change to how you play quarterback is unrealistic.
To me, as a football fan, if I take the Bears fan out of it, the only saving grace where I could have said Justin Fields stays is if C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young both have terrible seasons. Because if you look back the last 4 years, outside of Joe Burrow, a first-round quarterback in like the first 5 hasn't really put too much success out there. Trevor Lawrence did pretty well in the second year. But almost all the other quarterback, Dak Prescott, who's won playoff games, Lamar Jackson didn't play right away or whatever, have all come outside of the top 5. So I can be like, okay, past couple of years, I'd rather roll with this guy, but we're taking a quarterback who's going to replace him.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, with Bryce Young playing as good as he did on a team that
You mean
literally
C.J. Stroud.
was
You mean C.J. Stroud.
C.J. Stroud, who was literally so bad that they got the second-round draft pick.
Second overall.
Second overall draft pick. And it would have been first if Lovie Smith didn't hand us.
Oh, dude.
Hand
Lovey.
Hand
They
us
really
that
did.
pick.
What a dog.
So it's
no,
like-
yeah, no.
How does C.J. Stroud, which great player, not going to take anything away from him, but like goes to a team with a rookie head coach, kind of no direction whatsoever.
Their
and-
top wide receiver was Nico Collins, who hadn't accomplished much of it in his own right.
C.J.
No.
Stroud made him better. DJ Moore gets traded from a really bad quarterback situation, and stats-wise looks worse. Doesn't look as good,
Yeah.
as polished, as ready to score a ton of touchdowns with someone who should be the franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was, yeah,
You can't, and you can't pass up on that 2 years in a row.
Yeah, no, you can't pass up on your choice of quarterback 2 years in a row regardless. But like you said, you watched the Texans give you the blueprint. The Texans were legitimately bad. It wasn't like the Panthers traded with the Bears to get the first overall pick. The Texans earned the second overall pick. And it was a 4th and 20 miracle play that kept them from having the first overall pick.
Exactly.
And
Which is crazy to think what would happen, because Bryce Young Texas probably takes Bryce Young. Although there was some people that the
yeah,
Panthers.
that was a
who
little
was the Panthers coach? Matt Rule at the time, or no? Who was it?
Frank Reich.
Was it Frank Reich?
They did bring in Frank Reich.
Yeah.
Frank Reich. Josh McCown
was
is the quarterback's coach.
Yeah.
He wanted Stroud.
And Frank Reich said, I would rather take Stroud over
And then
Bryce Young.
Dave Tepper,
And then they ended up taking Bryce Young.
their owner was like, no, you're doing what I want.
So I don't know for sure. Maybe people in the Texans were like, we always want C.J. Stroud.
So
And
I
it
think
was
they're
like-
happy it worked out the way
And maybe
it did.
that's why they didn't try to trade with the Bears.
Exactly.
Because they were like, we're happy with 2. Yeah, if they end up taking C.J. Stroud, okay, bummer, but we
Yeah.
assumed they were going to take Bryce Young. But that's like Caleb Williams has taken 1. He might not be the best quarterback in this draft, but from paper-wise, he's going to be.
and he's coming into a great position.
yeah,
Defense is looking
you got
amazing.
DJ Moore, who had a strong year with I would call it with what I would say is a subpar passing quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm not going to knock Fields. He's got talent. He's not a good enough pocket passer to like have sustained success in the NFL. That's
Right,
my
yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
So his passing ability leaves a lot to be desired. Still, despite that, DJ Moore had a good year. You had Cole Kmet coming off of 73 receptions, 700 yards, 6 touchdowns. Very good tight end season. You brought in Keenan Allen, who has been a reliable safety net for any quarterback he's played for. He's only played for 2. But Phillip Rivers looked very good with Keenan Allen, and Justin Herbert has looked very good with Keenan Allen.
Justin Herbert also
Yes.
looked lost when him. Well, I guess it was also him and Mikey Williams when they both had like injury problems.
Justin Herbert's screwed over there in L.A.
But when you
Keenan
took out
Allen-
one of them, when Keenan Allen wasn't on the field, Justin Herbert looked worse.
Yeah,
So you would think
Keenan
he's going to
Allen
make a
is
quarterback
like
better.
he's a safety net. He's reliable, strong weapon. Love it. And then you get to keep your 9th overall pick, and you take Roma Dunze.
who I think is better than Darnell Mooney. I mean,
Yes.
I agree.
Instant upgrade. You're better. You're in a position like Caleb Williams is in a great position.
And DeAndre Swift.
And DeAndre
Good for
Swift,
you.
you got better at running back. Your O-line, you added some pieces where you need to. But at the end of the day, like, all that being said, I don't want to place unrealistic expectations on Caleb Williams. I think you have to allow him to be a rookie and make rookie mistakes. But he is in a very favorable position. And I will say with 100% honesty, and this is my belief, I would not feel as comfortable about the state of the Bears if Justin Fields was coming back as quarterback. I would feel
wouldn't
like
either,
all of
just-
these weapons are going to get wasted.
Yeah.
That would be my opinion. I get it's not popular to some people, but that's just what I believe, and it's not. My mind isn't changing on that.
To
Yeah.
me, if Caleb Williams is a bad first year, maybe even a bad second year, the only guy you're really wasting is probably DeAndre Swift and Keenan Allen because they're both older.
Yeah,
But running backs are.
DeAndre Swift's pretty young, actually.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
running back wise, he's kind of.
Oh, yeah, I
whatever.
guess.
Oh, yeah,
But like
yeah.
running backs turn over so fast. And if Roma Dunze develops how I think he can, he would replace Keenan Allen, and then you can just go get a slot receiver. I mean, Jordan Addison instantly came out. Who's our KJ Osborne for? I'm actually just pulling a bunch of Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah,
guys.
you really are.
But like,
Well, they've had some luck with wide receivers.
Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers to get away from them. It's
Yeah,
like you
there
can
you
kind of
go.
almost replace that third target for your wide receiver.
Yeah.
So really, even if Caleb Williams has 2 bad years, they can reload in that position pretty easy. To where if they have Justin Fields, well, now you need a quarterback and have to replace Keenan Allen and
Yeah.
probably replace DeAndre Swift. So it's
Yeah,
like there's a
you
lot
you
more
buy
holes.
yourself 3 to 4 years with Caleb Williams
Yeah.
here.
You reset
And
the
as Bobby
quarterback.
Cano, as a USC fan, Caleb Williams, the games he lost, he still usually threw for 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Exactly. Yeah.
A couple
he-
interceptions, but it was more of
He had
our defense isn't going to stop them, so I have to score.
Yeah, he was playing hero ball. At
Caleb
that point.
Williams
Like,
with
he-
the Bears
Isn't gonna have to
Eberflus
worry
needs
about
to
that.
sit down and be like, you don't have to score. If the defense doesn't stop them for you, just chill out. Like
We'll get it back.
We're going to get a stop, and if not, it's not on you.
Yeah, the only
I'm-
knock on Williams is the Notre Dame. That's the biggest knock on him is the Notre Dame game. And if we're going to take 3 years of college football tape and break it and label him a future bust because of a game,
But Notre Dame's
I'm
defense.
happy with his performance.
Notre Dame's defense was one of the best defenses
Stop.
in college football.
Stop.
Like
The
last
game,
year.
the
It's-
game that I picked to like when I was going back and forth between Justin Fields and Caleb Williams was the Colorado game, because Colorado didn't have Travis Hunter and Caleb Williams looked, and yeah, okay, it was like 57 to whatever, and Colorado just kept coming back, but it's just like at a certain point, I'm like, Colorado is not good. Yeah, they have Deion Sanders, but their defense outside of Travis Hunter, like he should have
Yeah.
torn up that defense.
Yeah.
And he let them back in the game. Where it's like, you want to take a knock that way because
Yeah, but
in the
I
Notre
also,
Dame game, hero ball. He's got to play it because you know that the defense
I
is
also,
unstoppable.
I don't think Lincoln Riley's system really works well for just like chewing clock.
Yeah, I mean,
So like,
Yeah.
like if you're not like you're either going to have short possessions or you're going to score is kind of the way that system operates. So yeah, I was shocked. I'll give credit to Colorado for climbing back into that one. Their offense is better than I think we give them credit for.
Yeah.
But like the big game I look at, everyone wants to talk about how he doesn't perform well against good teams. If you go and watch his game against Washington, where they lost, I think it was like 49-44 or something like that. He had more passing yards than Michael Penix, more touchdowns than Michael Penix, fewer turnovers than Michael Penix, higher completion percentage than Michael Penix. Lost the game, and that's his fault because
he's the star.
45 points should win you a football game.
Because I
You
said
can't tell
earlier,
me he
it's social
disappears
media.
in big games.
No,
when
yeah.
when the stat line he puts up is over 400 total yards of offense, 6 total touchdowns, 1 turnover, versus Michael Penix's like 300 yards of offense, 3 touchdowns, 3 turnovers. Tell me how it is Caleb Williams' fault when he puts up 45 points that they lost. You're not going to convince me, and you're not going to even tell me that he got outplayed because he didn't. Like
Yeah.
Caleb Williams just was on a bad defensive team, and it results in the hero ball. When you go out there and you're like, if I punt, we lose the game, it's going to cause you to make some like aggressive plays.
And if you really look at some of these quarterbacks that were drafted, I think almost all of them had more offensive players drafted to other teams than Caleb Williams had.
Caleb Williams had one person get drafted.
USC had a lot of young
Brendan
receivers.
Rice.
Brendan Rice in the 7th round. That's it.
So-
Exactly. Like I just feel like USC didn't like do a good job on like bringing in transfers.
I think
or
Zach Branch. So he's a freshman, so like obviously he can't get
Zachariah
Branch.
Branch. Yeah.
Zachariah Branch. He's good, but like when you look at comparing him to Michael Penix, he has Jalen Polk, he has Roma Dunze. Their running backs were
Like,
both very good.
I think all 3 of those wide receivers got drafted in the round. Like
first 3 rounds.
Yeah,
I think
it's
Polk
like
was 3rd round.
it's like I just feel like Lincoln Riley. I'm gonna cut him down a little bit here. Like you gotta live up to the hype, man. Like you come to USC, like
And you didn't live up to it.
you didn't.
And to me, USC.
What's
you
funny
gotta-
is he had the year this year that Nick and I said he was going to have 2 years ago.
It didn't, but yeah, last year he only had 2. At this point, you know who we should bring back? Pete Carroll. Bring back the golden days to USC.
Oh my gosh, stop.
Hey,
I mean, to me, I mean,
He's
if I was a, if I was
he's
a
got
coach,
life in him. He's got life in him.
if I was a
That's all I
coach
can
and
say.
still wanted to do it, I would go back to college rather than like
See?
try
You
to.
got more money in there's more money in college.
You have less restrictions.
You
like
have
you're,
it's so much
you're
more wide
getting
open
all
now
of your
too.
players.
NIL, dude, you could be having Reggie Bush, like agent, pay for everyone's home. You know, let's do it. Bring Pete Carroll back. That's where I'm at.
That'd be sick. That'd be sick.
It would be, you know.
Yeah, I think that all this being said, I'm excited about the direction of the Bears. I think realistic expectation is I'm going to set it at 10 wins. I think is realistic.
I'm gonna.
That's That's a realist. That's optimistic.
That's very optimistic.
That's an optimistic but realistic one.
I'm gonna take a pessimistic approach. 8. I'm on 8.
More win. My expectation is more wins than last year. That's really it.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, I think the team is currently constructed to make
To me,
the
I'm saying
playoffs.
3rd place in the division is my pessimistic
Wins.
Pessimistic.
take. Wins? I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm gonna say 8 wins.
I think eight
what
is fair.
I would be happy with would be 8. To me, what I think is going to happen is I think they're going to be 3rd place. I think Caleb's going to struggle against. He's not going to play well against the Lions. That's a really good defense.
But the Lions always play bad against the Bears.
They do, but like I just look at the Notre Dame game where it's like he did have a little bit of those nerves, and Aiden Hutchinson's across the line from him.
I mean, that Lions game we could have won.
Yeah.
Easily.
And then
Like,
I look at the Packers game, for sure losing in Green Bay. I could see that happening. And I can see him losing at home with Green Bay just because I know Green Bay travels well to Soldier
come on,
Field.
man. Don't give us 2 losses, Green Bay. At least
That's what-
split.
that's
We
what
would
I'm
like
at
to
least
see them
split.
split with every team.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying that's where I can see
possibly
them.
sweep.
I can see them going just 3rd place in the division, which is like
Dude,
where I'm not going to be upset.
Vikings, 2 wins right there. Calling it.
You
2
should. They
wins.
should be. If they
They should sweep the Vikings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's easy done. Yeah, Lions. The Lions we might get swept by, but I say split with the Packers.
I would hope so.
I would
I'm
like
just
to see
saying I
them
can
split.
see with a rookie quarterback, I can see that being.
I just think the team's constructed
tough
well
one.
enough to be able to to where Caleb doesn't have to be the reason they
Yeah.
win.
Yeah.
He just has to be the reason they don't lose this rookie year.
Which is where I liked I like them not taking quarterback last year because I felt like Bears fans would have ruined that quarterback because he would not have had success, and they would have been like, oh, it's his problem.
Yeah.
Like, almost to the point where Jared Goff kind of got ruined by Rams fans. Like, he took him to the Super Bowl, and Rams fans were like, no, he's terrible, he can't play. Then goes to the Lions as a 1-15.
Had a resurgence.
Yeah, 1-15 season. Everyone's like, see, he can't play. Then they got him pieces, and he's back to playing again. So it's like now Caleb coming in, he's kind of like the last piece to the puzzle rather than the main piece that we're building the puzzle around.
And I think the important message has to be like, you don't have to take us anywhere this rookie year. Like, play your football, grow, develop. The team is built to be able to like help you out. You don't have to be the reason we do anything this year. Just don't be the reason we lose.
I want 25 to 30 touchdowns and less than 20 interceptions, and I'll be happy.
If you could go over 11 and like 2,300 yards, that's the rookie passing record for the Bears.
Wow.
So if you could beat that,
I would like him to go over 3,500 passing yards, over 20 touchdowns, and under 18 interceptions.
That's good. Yeah, it's
true.
I would just.
I really hope it's a lot more under 18 interceptions, but
but you know that's gonna.
Beggars can't be choosers.
It's gonna happen.
First 5 weeks are gonna be rough, and those division games are gonna be rough for him.
Yeah, he's gonna learn and make mistakes, but like. It's gonna happen. Like we have to allow him to be a rookie.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Is like that's part of what bugs me the most with a lot of people online. Is like the people who didn't want the Bears to move on from Justin Fields are saying that he needs to be Pat Mahomes now. No, he's gonna be a rookie. Let him be a rookie.
Because how many touchdowns did Justin Fields have last year?
16.
Yeah, I think so. So I mean, like
I don't know where these expectations are coming from.
Even if Caleb Williams throws 15 touchdowns and 20 interceptions, like, okay, yeah, it's a lot of interceptions, but I feel like I'd rather take a guy who's younger, who has more potential upside than Justin Fields in year 4. Like,
exactly. Who we're gonna have to pay?
We're gonna pay money.
We're gonna have to either sign his option or extend him.
And next year's quarterback class, you got Quinn Ewers, and that's about it. If he decides,
Shedeur Sanders.
Oh gosh.
That's a different guy.
Oh, that's going to be a nepotism pick, man. I'm telling you right now.
I don't know, man.
That's going to be a nepotism pick.
But it's a tough one. Where if you go into the right,
we'll see what
team,
we'll give him this year.
I'm just saying, if the Bears passed on a quarterback this year and had Justin Fields, you really didn't have options next year.
No, you didn't.
Shedeur shouldn't be first overall. Is all I'm saying.
I don't think so. I think, to be honest, I think Travis Hunter should be like first overall. If we're loading it in right now,
that would be.
I know you didn't put this on the thing, but I have a question of the week. That
I was literally about to say.
Bobby
I didn't put it on there, but
Bobby brought up NIL. So here's my scenario for you. You can pick whatever sport you want, but I want to know your sport, and I want to know what school you're going to because you're getting paid. Chances are you're not going pro, so you still got to pick like a school that is decent at schooling because you're probably not going pro.
Okay.
But what school would you want to go to? What sport would you want to play?
And I'm like the guy.
Trinity cross country. No, I'm just kidding.
You're not like the star.
You're not the guy. I'm saying you're like mid tier of the team. So like you're getting paid.
Do I have a good chance at accomplishing like a legacy with this team?
The team, yeah.
Okay, Texas football.
Texas? Ooh, that's a
Texas football. What position are you playing?
Well, if I could make my pick, and am I like a 3-year starter? Do we accomplish things under me, or is this just like?
I was thinking like you're like a 3-star recruit from high school. So like you're getting decent NIL money. Like you're getting.
Do I get to be the starter at the position I choose? All right, then I go quarterback at Texas.
Okay.
Dude, come on, USC quarterback. That's easy right there.
I'm gonna go a little bit out there. I'm going Pepperdine, and I'm gonna be golf.
Pepperdine golf for NIL money?
Yeah, I wasn't just thinking first of all, I'm going to school for free because I'm playing golf, and I'm getting NIL money, so I'm getting some money, and I'm getting a decent education, and I'm in California. I'm surfing in the morning, don't care about anything.
Hey, USC is pretty prestigious. You know?
I know, but there's a lot of work I got to go in for football. I mean, for golf, I'm just playing golf, and then
I got to look at the NIL money.
And I said you're most likely not going pro. So
I know that's why I chose a place where like, can I live off of a legacy?
Exactly.
I just
Like,
figured,
perfect example, Stetson Bennett right now can retire forever, and he would be just fine because of his legacy at Georgia.
And
I'm just
his
looking at, like,
Raising
I still
Cane
get my
fund.
same, like, degrees that I have now, but I played golf for 4 years, got some NIL money, and I got a degree, so I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty just happy living over here. And then
That's
I
fair.
beat you guys on the local courses back here in golf like crazy.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
Fair.
I had a feeling you were going to go golf. Well, actually, no. I thought you were going to go basketball at first.
Nah, too much work again. I like my Christmas vacation. It's so nice to have that month off of school. And no, I'm playing in I got to go to Maui for a tournament, basketball tournament.
Oh,
Yeah, it'd be cool.
gosh.
But
Yeah.
that's just
You're
what-
so
you know,
whack for that.
Yeah,
That's
at
a
Maui?
good.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be
That's
cool.
a-
but
yeah.
yeah, probably going to Maui to play golf.
I like that question of the week,
True.
and that's a perfect reminder to make sure I throw it on. I throw it in. Each
If you
time.
don't throw it in, I'll remind you.
Yeah, no, I was looking at it, and I'm like, I didn't put that in there, so I was about to put you on the spot, but give you an out of like, hey, I didn't put it on there. So
No, I
let's
thought
get it for
after
next
Bobby
week.
said NIL, I was like, I'd always
Perfect.
If NILs were a thing when I was there and I was slightly better at sports, that would have been nice.
Oh, it would have been beautiful, but
True.
alas, everything gets better after you leave, right?
Yeah.
Wow, we'd have just melancholy this whole episode. The last 10 seconds.
No, this is a good episode, though. I'm glad we were back doing it. I think that's as good a place as any, though. We can talk forever if we let ourselves. So,
Yeah, we really
sure.
could.
as always, as I've said in season 1, guys, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoy. Please give us a like and follow, share with your friends. We are on Facebook still, Garage Talk Sports, YouTube, Garage Talk Sports, TikTok as well, Garage Talk Sports, and then our Twitter handle has changed. The pesky old Elon Musk thing because we were inactive for so long, we lost our Twitter. So we had to make a new one. Please give us some love over there. It is just at GTS Podcast, no longer the one at the end. So strictly
Yes!
at GTS
We're in.
Podcast, the one and only. And we will be bringing back our website here in a little bit. Just got to get that up and running, but that will be garagetalksports.com. So thank you guys for tuning in. We hope you enjoy, and we'll talk to you next week.
See ya.
See ya.